How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. We got a lot to get into here today on the show, not the least of which is Raw tonight, the go-home show for the incredible, compelling Stomping Grounds pay-per-view coming up on Sunday from the Tacoma Dome. I will be there, along with a bunch of my friends. We may be the only people there at this point, but we'll see how it goes tonight as far as the go-home show. Baron Corbin in the main event. Lacey Evans getting another championship match. All sorts of things being planned for Stomping Ground. So we could talk about that, as well as the rest of the Raw lineup for tonight, including the return of Daniel Bryan and a match to determine the number one contender for Samoa Joe's title. That is all coming up tonight here on Raw. We also have news from the weekend. A lot of things going on. The Young Bucks lost the titles at the AAA show. We've also got an update on Aerostar, who fell from the heavens and was seemingly killed and is apparently okay. All of that and more coming up after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Whereas here, Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. We got a lot to get into here today on the show. If you want to call us, you got to use the Sports Byline today, 1-800-878-PLAY. That is 1-800-878-7529. If that doesn't work, we won't take calls, because we can always take text messages. 425-780-7566 is the number for text messages here today. And we got a lot of news to get into. Mike is here joining us today. First story, I just want to get out of the way since everything seems to be fine. If you missed the Verano de Escandalo show last night, there was a spot where Aerostar did a gigantic dive off of a lighting rig or something of that sort and fell, God only knows how far. It seemed like 20, 25 feet. And he was supposed to be caught by two guys, which, by the way, if you're going to fall 20, 25 feet, don't try to be caught by two guys. It's nothing but a problem. But they caught his lower body, not his upper body, so he flipped over, appeared to have landed on his head, looked like he was killed. But as it turns out, the report we got this morning is that it appears he did suffer a concussion, but no other injuries other than that. He was at the hotel after the show. He was laughing about it. He was having a good time. He was apparently fine. I don't think that this is an indication that he should keep doing things like this. I think it's crazy. But for those of you wondering, Aerostar appears to be fine outside of concussion after falling from an incredible height.
That's amazing, because if anybody saw it, forget about landing on his head. He looks like he lands right on his neck. And not at his neck when he's going over to his back. On his neck when he was flipping over frontward. It was terrifying. And we have been yelling about things since Naito and Bushi. The ladder matches, the way that has gone to a can you top this scenario, they scare me because it's going to end in somebody's fracture of something, neck or arm or something, and it's going to be nasty. And I think the same thing when it comes to some of those falls. And you mentioned Kofi Kingston doing the trust fall. That move is also one of Darby Allin's favorites, who is going to AEW, and who knows what the presentation of AEW and what they're going to have their guys do, but that is one of his specialties that I hope does not get taken into the spotlight for everyone to see and share into along the lines of Kofi Kingston's, because it is a bad move that, frankly, does not make any sense at all in the terms of wrestling, and on top of it, if somebody does miss, that person is in deep, deep trouble.
Alrighty, a couple of other notes here, then we'll go to the phones and such. We've got the Raw show for tonight. WWE has announced a fatal five-way. Braun Strowman, Miz, Ricochet, Cesaro, and Lashley. Winner will get a shot against Samoa Joe at Stomping Grounds on June 23rd. And we've also got Strowman, Miz, and, that was last week. Strowman, Miz, and Ricochet beat Joe, Cesaro, and Lashley. Ricochet pinned Cesaro, so Cesaro, by the way, totally fine. He was not injured last week when Ricochet drifted south and did a 630 onto his legs. He was apparently totally fine, but he knew it looked like he was killed, so he sold it like he broke his leg. But in fact, he didn't break his leg, and he was totally fine, so he is a professional. And also tonight, Daniel Bryan appearing on Raw. This wild card thing, like we got heel GMs, and the heel GMs appear to get angry when certain people show up on the show. But at the same time, they also invite certain people to the show and storyline, depending on the week. So Daniel Bryan has been invited to Raw. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, he's going to be on Raw tonight, so that's exciting.
What about Rowan?
I don't know if Rowan's invited. I only know that Daniel Bryan is invited.
Well, I mean, he should be allowed to be invited because I know they have
It's not about being allowed to be invited. I don't know if he's been invited. Maybe he hasn't been invited.
I thought he was a partner, though, of a tag team champion, and by default, that makes him if one guy's a wild card, the other one is.
You must be a brother, apparently.
Oh.
Like the Usos.
Well, he's his brother in keeping the earth clean.
It's
brother
not how
of
it
the
works.
environment.
Are you kidding me? Don't make up rules here.
Oh.
They've also announced Ziggler versus Woods for SmackDown on Tuesday. I mean, if this were any of the pro wrestling companies, Ziggler beats Woods and then beats the hell out of him and Kofi makes a save, but it's WWE, so who knows? Woods could win. And we've also got New Day. Well, that was last week. Moment of Bliss has been announced. Bayley will be Alexa Bliss's guest, and that show is taking place from the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California. So I guess the question about Raw and the pay-per-view and everything else, since they are announcing a Daniel Bryan appearance, is Daniel Bryan going to be working in Tacoma? Because he's a heel and he'll be a babyface in Tacoma. Have they thought about this yet? What's going on? Tune in tonight to Raw to find out. All right, let's go to the phones. We got David in Missouri on the air. David, what is going on?
Yeah, funny that you just mentioned Daniel Bryan, because that was what I was about to say. Why the hell isn't Daniel Bryan in a big feature match in a pay-per-view in frickin' Washington State?
Well, because Daniel Bryan is a heel, and if he does a show in Washington State, he will be the most over babyface on the show, and maybe they don't want that.
They want ticket sales, don't they? Ticket sales are frickin' struggling. Why not advertise a large Daniel Bryan match?
Well, hey, tonight they may. They may announce a Daniel Bryan match tonight. We'll have to find out.
They could have a hot crowd. That's another thing they need. People not sitting on their hands. They wouldn't sit on their hands for a Daniel Bryan contest. And call me crazy. Can you imagine if they had a heel team that, they could take advantage of? And hey, look, Daniel Bryan could still cheat to win in his hometown. You could still have that, but you got him face off against some other team. And, that's not heavy machinery because you want them to be cheered. Have them face off against somebody else you don't care about and have them defend the titles. I know, crazy concept.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate it. I want to say one thing about this, by the way, because it is WWE. I've seen this happen before. So, to me, Daniel Bryan is going to be cheered pretty much no matter what. And so there's two options. Okay, if I'm running this company. Option number one is I don't care. And I just book him in a match and he gets cheered and I don't care and I go back to having him booed the next week. That's option number one. Option number two is he's not on the show because you're convinced that there's no way that he's going to be booed and you don't want him cheered, and so you just don't have him on the show. Okay, so these are the two logical options. There's a third option that I see as a possibility because of how Vince McMahon has done things in the past, and that is Vince convinces himself that he can get Daniel Bryan booed in Washington State, and he tries. Okay, believe me, I think there's at least a 40% chance of this option happening, and like every time he tries this, he fails. But you got to give the guy credit that he doesn't give up. His whole idea of I can get Roman Reigns cheered. I'll just have Brock booed. I mean, he tried that for 6 months and it didn't work. But God, he was determined to try. So there is that possibility that they will book Daniel Bryan for a match and they will convince themselves that they can get the guy booed. And you know what? Maybe they're right. I don't know. But if it were me, I would do option one, which is put him on the show, and I don't care if he gets cheered. Or option two, just not have him on the show. We'll see what they decide.
Let's go with option one and put him in against the team that he'll get cheered against. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Well,
Dumb, what's he going to do? Insult the Seahawks?
That's any team. This person here says, I tried to get my ticket for All Out, but scalpers did their thing, and I kept waiting in the queue for over an hour. They should run a stadium at this point. Well, they would have. I'm pretty confident. I know Dave's got a lot of math, and he's got a lot of. I don't know what he's got, but I am confident with none of that that they would have sold out a stadium for this show. I do believe that. Now, as far as like scalpers and everything like that, I am also very confident that there was less scalper activity than a lot of people think. I would say that 85 to 90% of the people that got tickets... Where'd I go? Oh, that's Mike. 85 to 90% of the people that got tickets were real human beings that got tickets for that show. Probably 10 to 15% were scalpers. You can see it on the scalper market. There are not a lot of tickets. There probably will be more when people see what they could get for tickets. But 85 to 90% of the people that bought those tickets in that queue were real human beings. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. If you want to give us a call here today, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. If you're calling the other number, stop. We're using the sports byline here today. All the numbers on the front page of WrestlingObserver.com. Also up on my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez. Also on my Twitter, by the way, an update on Aerostar. So last night, he was at the hotel, and the word was that he had suffered a concussion in his fall, but that he was having a good time, and he was laughing about it, and everything seemed to be okay. Well, I have a buddy who saw him at the airport within the last hour, and he was in a neck brace. So that is the update on Aerostar. And if we hear more, we'll let you know. So there you go. A couple of text messages here. If you want to give us a text message, 425-780-7566. This person says, the last time Daniel Bryan was in Washington, it was Everett on SmackDown in February. He cut a heel promo, tried to get booed, fans did not care, and cheered him regardless. You were there as well in the front row. Remember that terrible show? Barely. I'm sure if I went back and looked at my notes, I would remember, but...
Oh, stop.
No, seriously, I barely remember the show. I don't know, it was on a random... I don't remember. I mean, yeah, I know he got cheered. I mean, he's going to get cheered no matter where he goes, but... This person says, I actually don't think it would be hard.
Did Marco and the Stun family drop you on your head a little bit too much?
Dude, you know how many shows I go to and how many Raws and SmackDowns I watch? I don't remember a show from...
What is it, Everett? Like, Everett's getting Raw like every other week? Like,
what are you talking about? They're getting Raw every other week.
Do you know how many shows I go to? Do I know who you are?
Yes, do you know who I am? I don't remember what happened at the last Raw. If I looked at my notes, I'd remember, but off the top of my head, I don't remember what was at a random Raw. God only knows how many months ago. Because it was probably the exact same show that I saw on Monday.
Well, I wouldn't lie about that. That's true.
Person says, I don't think it'd be hard to get Bryan booed. Washington's a smart state. They love Bryan. They boo him to show their love. Well, that didn't happen the last time. So you've been corrected, my friend. Oh, God. Daniel Bryan will be Corbin's heel ref, this person says.
Oh, no.
I could see him doing it. I hope not.
Heat.
I think that would be stupid.
Yeah.
Person says, will people from the B block be in Dallas? I bought my ticket to see Jon Moxley. Well, you should never buy your ticket for something if something hasn't been announced. And if it's WWE, it's still a crapshoot. We have some lineups here for upcoming shows. July 6th is Block A. So the Dallas show is not Block B. So if you bought your ticket to see Jon Moxley, it looks like you're not going to see him. Although, this is just the block matches. There are going to be some tag matches and stuff on the show, so it's possible that he will be there in those matches. But I don't know. So
exactly. There is no guarantee, but there is a reason to at least be happy and thinking forward about this, which is, one, they desperately need to move tickets for that Dallas show. That's number one. And number two, most of the people that appear on, again, both nights of the show usually appear on that show, whether it be with tag matches or however it usually ends up. It's usually multiple-person tag team matches, and that's probably where Moxley's going to be if he's in it.
So this is what you will see if you go to Dallas, Texas for night one of the G1 on July 6th at the American Airlines Arena. You will see Will Osprey versus Lance Archer. I'm not sure that would be my number one choice for a Will Osprey match, but it probably will still be very good. You will see Evil versus Bad Luck Fale. It's a match.
Hold on. Also, revert back to Lance Archer is being relied on and being asked to do a lot of local promotion and things like that. And here's the one thing that you get out of that. You get possibly Lance Archer's best match in this tournament, the way things have been going with Will Osprey. So I actually understand that one. If you look at it from that point of view, it does make sense.
Let's see what else we've got here. We have Sanada versus Zach Sabre Jr., which should be a very good match.
Yeah.
Koda Bushi versus Kenta.
Yeah.
We'll have to find out what Kenta's got in him. Is he Hideo Itami or is he Kenta? We'll find out. And in the main event of the show, if you go to Dallas, Texas on July 6th for the opening night of the G1 at the American Airlines Arena, you will see Okada versus Tana Hoshi.
That could be good.
That will be an excellent match. So there you go. The entire list of all of the block matches are available at WrestlingObserver.com and elsewhere. Here's the first night of Block B, everybody. Shingo Takagi will face Juice Robinson. Should be a very good match. Naito will face Toru Yano. A night off. Ishii will face Jeff Cobb. That sounds incredible.
Yes.
Goto will face Jay White. And yes, in his G1 Climax debut, Jon Moxley will be facing Taichi.
It's perfect.
Get that damn match out of the way first. If I were Jon Moxley, I'd say, give me Taichi first. Let's get that one over with. So there you go.
Jeff Cobb and Ishii there.
Yeah.
Samoan squat team just slamming into each other, top speed. That is, again, opening night. There's my dark horse for match of either block on opening night.
All right, let's go to the phones. I believe Savan is on the air. Savan, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you today?
What's up?
Quick question for you guys with all these ticket talks and WWE tickets not doing well. Is AEW really affecting ticket sales for every other wrestling organization? I'm going to even include New Japan because I don't see a lot of people traveling to Dallas for New Japan G1 either.
No.
I know without Moxley, on the G1, even on the beginning night, I would think that with AEW's how hot they are, I think they did kind of drop the ball with the stadium show this year, and I just kind of wanted your thoughts on that because I feel like it's not only affecting WWE, but now it's affecting New Japan. And,
well, Savan, my friend, I want to thank you very much for the call, Savan. But let's look at things here. Yes, I believe that AEW could have sold out a stadium for this all-out show coming up at the end of August, but AEW has nothing to do with nobody buying tickets for Stomping Grounds. The reason that nobody is buying tickets for Stomping Grounds is because this card sucks. This card is it's like revenge on me for running down this promotion in their booking for the last year plus. That's why this show is taking place in Tacoma. It's so horrible. I can't even believe how horrible this Stomping Grounds card is. It's inconceivable to me that this card could be this bad. But that's why nobody is buying tickets for Tacoma. The G1, New Japan, they wait forever to list a card. That dude there that bought his ticket for Jon Moxley, dude, we still don't even know if Jon Moxley's in a tag match on that show. How hard is it to release the entire card for the American Airlines Arena? We know the block matches. Where are the rest of the matches on this show? This is the way that New Japan does business. It is fine in Japan. This is the way they've always done it, and people, they still buy their tickets. But in America, people want a card. If you're going to go to the G1, dude, if you don't live in Dallas, you gotta buy a ticket, you gotta buy a hotel, you gotta buy a plane flight. We don't know a damn thing about this show, and that's why tickets are not flying off the shelves. It was in close proximity to what is it? What else? There's another AEW show it's in close proximity to, but you got to look at the Fyter Fest and the other AEW shows. Those aren't sold out either. So it's not AEW impacting ticket sales for other groups right now. They've got their fans that want to see them, and they're willing to travel or buy tickets in large numbers. But like if WWE had a blow-away show and good booking, they would have sold out Tacoma immediately. And SummerSlam's, I think it's already sold out. WrestleMania was sold out. Like, the show is just a show. If it's a big show that people see as a big show, they're going to buy tickets, and if not, they're not. And for whatever reason, they don't see this opening night of the G1 as a big show.
It's also a holiday weekend where you got to travel. There are a lot of tactical errors, as you mentioned, that New Japan makes, and that's their biggest Achilles heel in the United States. With Ring of Honor, they're not selling tickets because they're an ice-cold product right now that people seemingly have a whole lot of faith in. Same thing goes down the line for whatever excuse you want to make about whoever else it is. Very simply, you don't have a card and you don't have a promotion people care about. That's why they're not buying tickets. AEW has that. They have a incredibly energized fan base that is currently all in. All of them are all in. Not just using that as a tease on words, but everything is still red hot for them right now. So anything that they touch is going to be Midas for their people. So everybody else doesn't have that right now, and one really does not have to do with the other than to look at AEW and go, okay, how do we get that out of the people that are buying our tickets?
This person says there seemed to be an assumption that whatever number of people were in the queue for All Out, the number of people looking for tickets is double that because these people are buying tickets for other people. Let's say 4 friends want to go together. It's quite plausible. All 4 are in the queue and on multiple devices. So how can these estimates be accurate? I'm not making... my estimates are as general as can be, okay? There were 72,500 people or 72,500 individuals, whatever, in the queue, okay? That's it. That's all I know for sure, all right? I also know that the number of those that were bots, etc., was very low, probably 10-15%. So there were some 60,000 people, whether it be 4 computers, 2 computers, whatever. Like, I don't know how many people, I don't know how many tickets everybody wanted, okay? But clearly, with 60,000 real people there in the queue, like, it was going to sell very well, period. That's it. That's the end of the story. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. I can't tell if these people are serious or if they're, like, sending emails so that I don't know. This person here says,
right,
what's with this AEW buzz? So what? They sold out another 10,000-seat arena. Literally all they have done is an average pay-per-view and made some T-shirts. People out there are acting like they have the cure for cancer. Well, I mean, can we swing from one end of the pendulum to another, my friend? They sold out 10,000 seats. It was actually more than that, but they sold it out because that's all the seats that were available. If they had put on sale 70,000 seats, they would have sold that out. They would have done exactly or more as many tickets as WrestleMania. That is an absolute fact from the people that sell tickets, okay? Their average pay-per-view, they did over 100,000 buys for that pay-per-view, if you factor in streaming and traditional pay-per-view, which is more than TNA ever did, ever. That's including when they had strong television on Spike TV. It's almost double the best pay-per-view that TNA ever did in their existence. So, and they sold more T-shirts in Hot Topic. They sold so many T-shirts that... I think it was, who was it? Anyway, point is they sold a preposterous number of T-shirts. So, no, they're not curing cancer, you numbskull. But you don't have to go clear the other way as well and act like, they've only sold out a couple of buildings. WWE will sell out 10,000-seat buildings.
You can't dismiss them out of hand anymore because, again, we have a long way to go. We don't even know what they're going to be. They don't even know what they're going to be until that TV show hits and is up and we know what it is. But you cannot deny this other stuff as much as you may want to, as much as you want to blow it off. You don't have to believe in it, but you got to know that it's there. You got to accept that.
This is from... They have said this publicly. They said this publicly, by the way, after the Double or Nothing show, which was a gigantic success for them. I don't want to say they're worried. That's the wrong word. But, like, they understand that this live TV thing is going to be a gigantic undertaking that they are not fully prepared for right now. I mean, it just is. They've never done live TV 2 hours weekly. I mean, it is a gigantic jump, and who knows how that's going to work out. All we know is that everything that they have done so far, they have succeeded at. in spite of people thinking that they are going to fail. But we do not know. Nobody knows what's going to happen when they get national television. There's a million things that could happen. It could be. Oh, here's both ends of the pendulum. It could be an absolute disaster. They could be completely and totally unprepared for 2 hours of live television every week. They could sell no tickets to weekly television. It could be an unmitigated disaster. That is the worst case scenario. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could happen. The other end of the pendulum is they've got a lot of people working with them who have done national television before. They've got people that work for WCW and Impact. And granted, that doesn't sound great on the surface because both of those companies had disastrous runs as well. But these are people who have done this before. And it is possible that right out of the gate, they will do competitive numbers with the third hour of Raw and SmackDown on USA Network. That is possible. Now, all I can tell you is that there is an incredible demand when they put tickets on sales for their large events, not for their small events. You got to think about that. Like Fyter Fest, these smaller events do not do the kind of business that the big events do. And when you're doing weekly TV, those weekly TV shows are going to be more akin to a Fyter Fest than a Double or Nothing. So we don't know how many tickets are going to sell on a weekly basis. We have no idea. They have no idea. Nobody has any idea. But I do know that TNT is available in more homes than the USA Network. They are not going on the Pursuit channel. They are not going on Sinclair. They are on a national primetime broadcast network that is in more homes than the USA Network. So it is possible that they could do the numbers that Raw and SmackDown are doing. Maybe not right out of the gate. Maybe it's going to take a while. Nobody knows. We have to wait and see.
It's a long, long, long way off, but you start looking at, if they do start picking up some traction on TV, which you obviously hope to right off the bat, when it comes time to start running house shows, how all that's going to work and how that's going to throw a wrench into things for some of these guys with, open-ended contracts or contracts that make them available to work somebody else's promotion. There are a lot of questions that are going to be answered that are going to, just as one thing unfolds, something else is going to pop up as an issue, and that's the one thing. We're going to see it all in real time on a really grand stage.
Poor Brad here said that I put my cat Lincoln down an hour ago. It was very peaceful. Now being at home without him is actually the hardest part for me. I'm listening to Observer Live, which is helping me. Thank you. Well, Brad, I understand.
Brother, absolutely.
Because 9 years ago, I had to put a cat down, and it was like the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was horrible. So I feel very bad for you. Hopefully this show makes you feel better. We're not going to Ryan. But we are going to our next caller, who I'm not even sure who it is. I believe Austin in Knoxville. Austin, are you on the air?
Yes, I'm on the air.
Yes, what's up?
I was going to ask first about the part-timer issue in WWE, the overuse. With the Goldberg Undertaker match going the way it did, and then with Batista and Kurt Angle both retiring at this year's WrestleMania, is there any chance we're going to start to see a gradual shift away from the overuse of part-timers on these big cards and maybe some better spots for the full-time guys?
Well,
You're going to see younger part-timers.
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to thank you very much for the call. I mean, they're always going to try and bring names back. That's just the way it is. And the thing with the WWE audience today is if someone's gone for a while and you bring them back, they're like over. Even if they're not somebody that was like a massive Undertaker-level star. So I don't think the days of bringing people back is over. I think they're always going to bring people back, but I don't know. I mean, it is a little bit. It's just funny the way things are right now. Like if you're on WWE TV every week, you're not over in 98% of the cases. But if you disappear for a while and come back, you are over. So what does that tell you about the state of the television? You're more over not being on the TV show.
Oh, but that's been that way for how long? Wade Barrett or Alberto Del Rio or somebody, Sheamus, somebody would get hurt, go out for a while. It's like as soon as they came back, they were the biggest thing, and you had that hope for a minute that, okay, you got another chance. Let's see, you don't screw this one up, and then they would eventually screw it up. So this has been an issue for quite some time. Now, if you're AEW, do you use someone as a sight gag in this, like a Rob Van Dam? Do you bring somebody back like that just to do it, or are you risking people wanting to see that person all the time, much like is the case in WWE?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with bringing back older stars if they are not put in a position to be the focal point of the company. Like, if AEW wants to bring back RVD and they can find something cool to do with him and the fans love seeing him in that role, then who cares? Do it. The problem is that,
just don't put him over MJF right away.
I think that a lot of people hear that WWE is going to bring back somebody, they get really excited hoping that something cool would be done, and then they're disappointed by what WWE does with them. I think that's part of the problem. Obviously, in WCW, when the old guys were headlining all of the shows and nobody was ever being elevated, and the old guys just kept getting older and having the same horrible matches, we don't see that in WWE. I know that people go, oh man, Hunter took a spot away from somebody else by wrestling for 30 minutes at Mania, and it's no, he didn't. He didn't.
He's not exactly Psycho Clown out there.
He just didn't. He didn't headline the show. Yeah, the match was too long, but if he wasn't on the show, it's not like somebody else would have gotten 30. It's not like they're going to give Daniel Bryan another 30 minutes for his match with Kofi. They don't put these guys, these old guys. Yeah, I understand that Undertaker and Goldberg headlined Saudi Arabia, but it wasn't really a WrestleMania. It was a stupid, nothing happening show in Saudi Arabia on a Friday afternoon, the WWE Network. Who cares?
It's a sold show for $60 million.
They were offered $60 million a headline with the Undertaker versus Goldberg. So, dude, I'd a headline with Undertaker versus Goldberg.
Vanity show.
And Goldberg knocked himself out. I mean, if he hadn't, they didn't look bad for the first 3 minutes of that match till he knocked himself out. They could have had a good match. Who even knows? You can't judge it on a dude getting knocked out and then doing the rest of the match with a concussion, for crying out loud.
Now, let me ask you something. It's not like if Goldberg doesn't want to do something, he just ain't going to do it. But do you think anybody works on his pride, and do you think they draw him back one more time by saying, hey, look.
Who, Goldberg?
Yeah.
He wants to.
Okay, I was going to say, because I can imagine him wanting that taste out of his mouth, and I can imagine them down the line, if they need him, putting those screws to him, going, hey, you want to try to erase that memory? We got to do this one more time.
Dude, listen. Let me tell you something. How long was that match? 8 minutes? Let me go find out.
Felt like forever.
It wasn't that long. Let me see how long it was, because there was a lot of rumors about that match. But I got a couple of facts that were told to me about
what,
it.
Rumors? What?
That people yelled at each other or this or that or whatever. Changes were made. So the Undertaker versus Goldberg was 9 minutes and 35 seconds. That's how long it went. Okay, so all I can tell you is that however long that match went, that was roughly the amount of time that they were given. So it wasn't like they were given 4 minutes and they went 9. It's not like they were given 15 minutes and they were given 9. All right? So the way that Goldberg works, especially the most successful Goldberg when he had his second run a couple of years ago, they were probably only going to go about 8 minutes. I think that was the time they were originally given, was 8 minutes. And if he hadn't gotten concussed, I mean, honest to God, I honest to God think that would have been a pretty good match. They would have had a simple match. They would have done only their best spots. I mean, 9 minutes, 8 minutes in an Undertaker-Goldberg match, a lot of that is Undertaker just walking around. So I think that if Goldberg came back and didn't knock himself out, I think he could come back and have one more good match, just being the old Goldberg. So I think it's going to happen. We'll see. This person here says, why do you think everyone who picks on AEW is a diehard WWE supporter? Isn't it possible that some people have valid criticisms of both products, Jim Cornette being the perfect example? Yeah, of course there are some of those people. We don't have to swing from one side
fair on this show?
of this pendulum to another, okay? Yes, that is true in some cases, but the vast majority of these weird pieces of feedback I get are from the hardcore WWE group that don't want to see somebody else spring up. Now, it is funny. It is funny. When I used to hear these WWE diehards, I would think, why don't you want competition to spring up? It's only going to make WWE better. Well, I've changed my mind. And, like, if I were a WWE diehard, I probably wouldn't want to see AEW spring up, because so far it hasn't made WWE better at all.
No.
This person here is asking about Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah.
I'm very upset that he's not in the G1 this year.
Oh.
I forget the term that he used, but it was, where is it? Something about how he'd been shunned or something like that.
Shunned?
I don't think it's that bad, buddy.
Somebody put Misu in the corner?
He's just not in the G1. It is sad.
People.
It is. I mean, here's a guy who's sad that Lance Archer is in and Taichi are in, but Suzuki is not. And I mean, I do agree with that. Like, Taichi's in and Suzuki isn't. Come on.
Well,
that is ridiculous.
Taichi can take more of a beating on multiple nights, for heaven's sake. See, come on, look. Forget about the G1. Isn't everyone's real main event this year going to be Liger and Suzuki once they finally get in with each other? Come on.
We'll see what happens. Back in a moment with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. This person here in the text message says, any news on the Super J Cup in U.S., specifically Tacoma? What do you want to know? I got all the info.
Oh, yeah?
All right, so Super J Cup is coming to the U.S. They will be in the Temple Theater in Tacoma, Washington, August 22nd. They will be at the SFSU Student Life Event Center in San Francisco on August 24th. And they will be in the Walter Pyramid in Long Beach, California on August 25th. The tickets go on sale June 24th. And the Temple Theater in Tacoma, my stomping grounds, actually, unlike this WWE Stomping Grounds pay-per-view in Tacoma, Temple Theater will be set up for 1,200. That will be the capacity. So if you want tickets, June 24th, they will go on sale for Tacoma. Hopefully that answers all your questions, because I don't know anything else about it. Just all that news I gave you right there.
All that right there.
Yeah. The person has any update on the Ring of Honor investigation with Bully Ray? I know...
Investigation's still ongoing?
I know that the individual at the center of this controversy was contacted a few days ago, so the investigation is still ongoing. That's all I can tell you about that. Let's see. One last thing here. Oh, everybody's still thinking that Shane McMahon is going to beat Kofi. Roman then beats Shane, and Roman gets the big pop Vince has wanted for him for years. Tell me this isn't Vince's plan. I don't know what his plan is. I don't need to see Shane McMahon as champion. I think that people are just presuming that because he's been pushed so hard, but just can't see it. All right, we're out of time, everybody. I want to thank you all for listening here today. Mike is solo tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday. I will be back for Wrestling Observer Radio tonight and the Bryan and Vinny Show tomorrow night, so check those out. Got a bunch of shows up this weekend. Lots of great stuff. That's it. Thanks, Mike, as always. Callers and listeners, everybody in the studio. Talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.